I'm gonna pick this one because it's one of the last ones left from the original lot of molds I got. Hello, my name is Shelby and I'm a potter. I found this bulk lot of slip casting molds and one by one I'm pouring them up to reveal whatever is inside and then finish it into an artwork. This is the Mystery Mold series, so let's see what's in today's episode. Alright, it is time to open this diamond shaped one. Usually 2 holes means it's a litter jar type trinket box thing. It's an apple! Oh my goodness! It's a little apple pot! That is so cool! I really like that. I'm thinking I cut that off. Like it's got a little stalk that goes in the top, which is really cute as well. Time for my favorite game of Will the Lid Fit? The lid fits. Oh my gosh, I really like that. It's a bit of an odd shaped apple. Like it's quite, I'll say minimal in its design, but very cool. I have a few ideas for this one. Do you know what it's reminding me of straight away? And I think it's a pretty common reference, is the apple from Snow White. And because it's nearly spooky season, or it's fast approaching, and by the time this video comes out, it probably will be spooky season. I feel like I could do a really cool poison apple or a really awesome just plain red apple. I heard that they're remaking Snow White as well, so I feel like that's why that reference feels really strong and true to me. I like it. It's cool. Here is a look at the mold. As you can see, the mold was actually made in 1969 and it actually says 141A. Usually the letters mean it has another part, so I'm wondering if there is some other part that goes with this. Maybe it's a sugar pot and has a matching creamer or something that goes with it, or maybe another fruit bowl, an orange one maybe, or a banana. Maybe the A means apple and there'll be a B which means banana. I don't know. I did try and look up more information on this one, but I couldn't find any other parts, just the apple on its own. So that's really interesting. So if you know anything about this piece, please let me know in the comments. For this week's design, I am doing 4 different types of apples. I am actually doing a spooky version and a regular version, although my regular version could still kind of work for a cutesy spooky season vibe in a way. So if you think about like a rotten eaten away apple aesthetic. So I am taking inspiration from the classic poison apple reference from Snow White. I am, however, changing it a bit, and the reason for not doing a direct translation of the poison apple is because of Disney's copyright. So as much as I would love to make that a thing, Disney are pretty tight on their designs and references, so this is an inspiration fan based art only. To make it different, I am changing a number of things, including the colors, and the whole character of the apple is different. For my poison apples, I am also drawing reference from jack-o'-lanterns as well. I am doing one that's kind of like a zombie looking poison apple and one that's like really cutesy and sweet with like love heart cut out eyes. So to create my poison apples, I wanted to create this toffee poison spell like consistency of clay and drape that over the top of the apples to run it down like these poison drips. And then once I had this goopy magic potion on top, I'm cutting out the eyes and mouth to create a jack-o'-lantern with the poison apple face. I just thought that this shape was the right size and height. The lid as well is an extra bonus as it makes it the perfect fit for a tea light holder. With the cutout face, I am hoping that I can put a tea light inside and it will make the face light up and glow. So I've cut a little hole on the outside. The reason why I've done the little hole on the back, like the little open doorway, is so that the tea light actually has a lot of oxygen flowing in. It doesn't suffocate itself on its own sort of carbon burn off, but also so that you can blow it out and leave the lid on, because the lid will get hot with the flame directly touching it. With that said, I feel like you could invert the lid on these and actually put like a little bit of a wax melt or essential oil in there and have it like an oil burner, because there is no way the tea light would get hot enough to be comparable to a kiln temperature. So the little stalk poking down would be totally fine. It will just be that it will get really hot. So the idea of the little hole in the back is also so that when it is a bit warmer, you can still blow the tea light out without having to lift the lid off. So with my 2 jack-o'-lantern characters, I've done one that's like a zombie looking critter. So I've got the bright green and the red groups on the top.
And then the other character is meant to be more cutesy and more fun and gentle of a character, more fun and playful, and that is with a pink and purple. So that's pretty much those two tea light holder ones. So yeah, playing influence on the poison apple whilst also playing into jack-o'-lanterns and my own aesthetic with the pieces. I did 2 more designs, and this is the second concept, which you'll see me creating in a minute, but I just felt that the apple was gorgeous, but it needed a bit more life to it. So I decided I wanted to add its own sense of movement and character by adding crawling bugs on the piece. And this is really more of a normal aesthetic. I would say that this is a year-round piece, but I feel like it does lean into that spookiness of these sort of like witchetty grubs crawling in and eating away at a rotten apple. The first one I did was these witchetty grubs, and the second one is with some worms. I did the grubs. They were meant to be caterpillars at first, and I mean they still look like caterpillars, but they kind of look more like witchetty grubs because of how short and stubby they are. And I feel like because witchetty has like witch in it, it works way better for Halloween. And I think I'm gonna have to quickly make up some little witchetty grubs with little witch hats on them because it works so good. It's like an Australian Halloween bug. Anyway, I did these grubs eating away at the apple, and their little heads and tails are going inside and out of the apple, just having an absolute feast on these apples. They are so short and stubby, so I sculpted them by rolling out some clay and then squishing it back into a sausage to get that really squishy, chubby, wiggly shape. I cut them in half and then attached each end to the outside and inside the jar to give it just more dimension, so that when you open the jar, there's like a little surprise of its little bum in the inside the jar. I also did worms, and I rolled out really thin sausages and shaped them in some squiggles to get their wriggly movement happening. I then cut those in half as well and attached them in different spots on the apple to make it look like they were crawling through the apple as well. I also did actually plan to do some plain apples without any of these attachments, and maybe playing with some patterning with apples, or even just trying to get like a realistic apple texture on them. But I think it must have been a sign that I was meant to focus on these 2 designs, because I had both my plain apples break. I had 2 spare ones for these concepts that I experimented on where the experiments didn't work, so I chucked them out, and they weren't worth like showing you, by the way. They were just me. It was just me exploring the consistency of that top toffee and whether I had it right, and I just didn't have it right, so there was no point showing you that. I lost those 2, and then I had one singular one that made it to bisque firing, and that cracked. I don't know why that cracked when all the other ones were perfectly fine, so must have just been from trimming and warpage or something like that, or it might have just been just a funky cast. I don't know, but it didn't make it, so I think that was a sign that I had to do these really funky fun concepts of this apple and not just have a plain one. Every week I always think about the design of the molds and why that particular design made it to life, and there are so many different designs. It is ridiculous. Like every time I get a new lot of molds, I'm just like, wow, they literally think of everything. And I just think that there was always a trend, and like we've already been through all the trends before. But I was thinking about this, and Snow White actually came out a lot earlier than the design of this mold, so I don't think Snow White was the actual reference of this piece. I'm just using that reference. I actually think with the 1969 creation of this, I feel like it's playing into that trend of like the display fruit bowls and the display fruits, and that's when I got thinking, I feel like this was a massive trend where people had the fake fruit in a fake bowl. Well, the bowl's not fake, the bowl is real. Imagine the bowl is made out of fruit. And anyway, a basket or bowl, and it had all the fake fruit. And I was like, why did that become a thing? Surely it wasn't just because we wanted to have year-round fresh fruit in a bowl that always looked good and never went off. And that is literally it. That is the only reason I can find that that trend started, was so that it always looked like you had fresh fruit on the table and you didn't have to keep going out and buying new fresh fruit for display. And it just is kind of funny and interesting about how we display produce as like decor. I don't really have a comment on it. I just find it interesting that we as people have decided what is an aesthetic and good looking piece of food that is worth displaying. Like, you don't go around to people's houses and see like maybe you do, I don't know, like a bowl of eggs, and I guess a lot of that stuff needs to go in the fridge. So maybe I wonder if food like eggs and cheese and butter and stuff like that that didn't need to go in the fridge, especially in Australia because it gets so hot, didn't go in the fridge, would we have like cheese on display? Would we be like, look at my balls of cheese? I don't know. Like, it's so interesting that that is something we've decided to do. Actually, before I go any further, I think I did have a friend who used to display eggs because they had so many chooks and they were just in a basket. And I actually wonder whether it's a cultural lifestyle thing. Does the fruit or display produce bowl change based on where you are and what you can grow? So do you actually have a bowl of cheese just because that is where you are from and it's a part of your culture? Maybe a bowl of nuts with a nutcracker, I think I've seen before. And you know what? I want to know what types of produce you have seen as a display piece in someone's home, whether it be yours, a friend's, or family members. I am actually so intrigued. Like, I have seen candy bulbs as well. So maybe this is just like a thing that it kind of like invites people to snack and eat when they visit your house. Anyway, I underglazed these all up in the colors that I was vibing with, and then it was time to glaze them and pop them in the kiln. Let's open the kiln. That is so cool. Oh my gosh, I forgot to sponge the bottom off. Oh no, I actually forgot. I didn't see that one. I forgot to sponge it. That was very lucky. Otherwise we would have had a huge accident. Oh my goodness, that's the first time I've ever done that. What a silly Billy. That should hopefully sand all off, but oh my gosh, it would look really cool with a glazed bum. That is so spooky. I'm excited to see what that looks like with a tea light in it. Oh, what a critter. I was actually going to do their little antennae with cantha wire so that they were actually like wired antenna, but we ran out of cantha wire and I didn't get it in time. But I think that these are still so cool. I love the like little eaten areas of the apple. That is so cute. Oh my goodness, they are really cute. I love how they came out. They're so whimsical. They've just brought the apples to life. I just love that these have such a character and such a life to them now that they've got the little wormies and caterpillars on them. I feel like they could have felt quite still life and quite stale, but this is just sort of added, this life to the pieces. Alright, let's have a look. Oh, that's so cute. I love the colouring of this pink. The purple could be better, but I do have issue with the purple sometimes with getting a good application. I'm just glad that it didn't repel from the piece itself. It is a bit patchy. Would have liked it a bit more opaque in colouring, but I think it's still really great and it still looks so cute. Isn't it sweet? I can't wait to test them with the little tea lights in them. The lids came off perfectly, which I'm relieved about. They're still functioning. I just wish that where the lid met the base, there was a little bit more glaze because you can see the color difference of the glaze and unglaze, which is kind of cool too. And maybe that's a good thing, but I just wish that it wasn't as prominent or doesn't take as much attention of your eye to that seam, but maybe that's just me. I did have a bit of an issue cutting the lid of the apple back off after I drooped that toffee on. So the line is a little bit like, ooh, you know, but it looks cute. I think it looks good still. It's just not as straight as the other apples that I didn't have to recut the lid line back into it. I love these though. These are fantastic and I am so proud of every single one of them. I do love the tea light holders, but I'm not really a spooky person. I don't know. I like the tea light holders. I don't know if I would buy one, but I appreciate the aesthetic of them and I feel like I nailed what I was trying to do with them, but I don't know if I would own one. But I would definitely own the apple with the wormies. I think that one's calling me. My studio assistant says she loved the one with the witchetty grubs coming out. And I also love this one, but I think I have a preference for the red apple. Anyway, this is what they look like with the tea lights in them. I actually had to wait for it to get dark so I could show you the full wham bam, because they were glowing during the day and you could see that they were glowing, but at night it was a whole different thing. They were so spooky. They just lit up. I love how the tea light glows and bounces off the inside of it, but comes out all the eyes and nose and mouth detail. It is really cool. And one thing I was going to ask you is, should I add some gold luster to the inner rim of the eyes? But I don't think I will now, because seeing them glow, I just think that the candle does the glowing golden light work for itself. Let me know what you thought of this mold in the comments, or if you have other spooky ideas that you could do with this apple, or even just normal ideas. I would love to hear them in the comments. Thank you so much again for watching another video, and here is your sneak peek for the next one. And this one has never been opened before, so I'm using it for the first time in its life.